I'm Jeff Slakey, and we are happy to have in studio this morning the Sheriff for Mason County, Casey Salisbury. Good morning, Casey.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you this morning?
I am well. Thank you very much. It's 7:45 on a Monday morning. Love having these conversations with you here. And today, going to focus our attention on to the volunteers who help out very much.
Yes.
You got a lot of them.
Yes, we do. And what we have listed, what we'll talk about today is 23 of what I call our full-time volunteers. They're really not full-time, but they are. In addition, we have our search and rescue group too. That's almost double that size, and I don't think we recognize that enough in the county. When you take a look at the numbers that they put up for us, for our communities.
Yeah. So I know that let's start with search and rescue, because I know we always talk about how difficult at times it is to get from one side of the county to the other side of the county, either by waterway or just by roadway, and then a lot of that is wooded, heavily wooded. People will go up there and recreate. It's hunting season as people are up there as well, and you know, sometimes people get lost and you need all hands on deck, and these folks are volunteers that head up there.
Yes, they are, and they do a lot of training. They train monthly for those positions. And it's not just finding people. If we have evidence searches that we need to do in an area, the search and rescue volunteers come out and will spread out in an area and do evidence searches. This last year, a lot of people aren't even aware of it, that Thurston County was working on a homicide case in which they thought some of the evidence had made it to a landfill over in eastern Washington, and our volunteers suited up and went over in basically hazmat suits and dug through tons and tons of garbage to assist Thurston County in that. And so who else would do that and volunteer their time to do that? It's a very, very important function that we just simply would not have. We just don't have the staff to handle all that. And those search and rescue volunteers are tremendously helpful when we do have a lost hiker, a lost family member, a lost child in the middle of the night. We need to get people out real quick. They come out for us. How
does the word get out to from you to either the head lead on the volunteer search and rescue, and then the word gets out to like a phone tree? Or
yeah, when we have a SAR coordinator, search and rescue coordinator from the sheriff's office. So if something comes in from one of our supervisors off the road immediately, a lost child or a lost person, sometimes we have elderly people that have walked off and we can't find them. It goes immediately into our search and rescue coordinator, and they make a phone call, and it goes out basically through a phone tree. They have I forget what they call it, the automatic calling robocall that goes out, and it tells the search and rescue volunteers exactly where to report to and where their point of contact is at, and then they assemble and they move from there.
Now, do you have a high number of volunteers because of the well, I mean, either because so many folks want to give back, or because you know that you need this many folks, or is it a matter of, like with many volunteer organizations, you need to have a good stable of helpers because at any given moment, people are also living their own lives?
I think it's a combination of those. We're very fortunate. Simply, when you look at our numbers here, if we didn't have these, look at the numbers would cost this county that other people pay these people, not necessarily search and rescue, but office staff volunteers. They're paid at other counties. We're not here, and people want to help out. This program started many years ago with Sheriff Weibark. It's been with Sheriff Holter, actually. It's been carried over through the years by each sheriff, and I can almost guarantee that there's not a sheriff's office in the state that has a volunteer cadre like we have that actually run an office for us.
Wow.
And I go all over the state, and very few people. And now there are some search and rescue organizations that are bigger, they have bigger counties. But as far as people that are actually working and running office space for you, augmenting our services, I don't think there's anybody anywhere that has this.
Let's crunch some of these numbers and figure out how many hours donated to the service of the citizens, what the cost equivalents would be. These are some pretty impressive numbers put forth by volunteers.
Yeah, our North office simply would not be there if it wasn't for volunteers.
Right.
It just wouldn't be, because we've never had the staffing level that other counties have had for support staff. And so we basically, I call them full-time, not really full-time, but they're people have been with us every day for a long time. A minimum of 23 that we have running that North office. They work shifts. They keep that open 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. And we look at other things from, they do boating inspections. They keep the north office open. They work in our front office. And they go out and do inspection on Hulk vehicles, these would be deputy assigned positions. We have volunteer chaplains that aren't listed out of these 23 as well. They go out, our volunteers go out. We have a cold case unit that are former law enforcement that are volunteers that come in our office and work cold cases. Nobody else has that. A number of our volunteers go out and they do our sex offender postings, and they also assist in disabled parking, checking on disabled parking throughout the communities. So there's just nobody like this group. And this last year, we figured that it'd be just for our North End office, it'd be over $84,000, almost $85,000 for 2 full-time people to run that North office, and our volunteers cover that. In the last 9 years in the program since I've been here, we figured just in those 23, $763,000 of labor has been brought into the county by our volunteers augmenting our program. And so when we talk budgets every year, and this is why I bring this up, is every year when we talk budgets in the Sheriff's Office budget, if we were to go in and pay out what other counties of our like size pay out, consider the number of hours, the number of people that the county would be paying for if we didn't have these volunteers that other people pay for. So they're a wonderful group of people, and they're so professional. Many of these people have retired from other careers and come back in and work for us. One of our persons now, I say volunteer, he's been with the Sheriff's Advisory Board for over 30 years. He missed one of his first meetings in 30 years as a health issue. We awarded him a few years ago with a recognition for 27 years of service to the Sheriff's Office. Now he's over 30. A number of our volunteers that are listed out of these 23, most of them are retired from another career. Many of these people have been with us at least 10 years, many of them 15, closer to 20 years volunteering for the Sheriff's Office. Some of these people have been on with the Sheriff's Office more than some of our full-time employees.
Yeah, I was just going to say
and
that.
They stay with the county longer than many of our county employees that leave and go somewhere else. So that's a pretty good program. And the main part of this program is supervised by our Chief Civil Deputy, Jan Shepard. And she's been with the agency over 30 years, and that's how we know how many of these people have been here that long.
So what are some of the requirements to be a volunteer? Is there a minimum age, a maximum age, background checks, I'm sure, for some of these things?
Background checks, and then each of the volunteers, when somebody comes in, a new volunteer, they may have an area of interest. They may come here with an area of interest and find something else they're interested in doing, and they're basically, and this is what's interesting, they're trained by the other volunteers into that position. And so this is very helpful for us with some of the expertise that comes in from people that have retired from other businesses.
Oh, sure.
You know, their talents and expertise is what we wouldn't be able to find other places. And I'll tell you the other thing that always interests me about this is our volunteers. I'm not saying that we keep statistics on them, but our volunteers show up for work. And many of these people are there many more hours a day than they just never stop.
That's great.
And we're so grateful to have them. And as we went through budget last week, I try to remind people that I don't know any other county entity here, almost anywhere around us, that has the number of volunteers that the Mason County Sheriff's Office has. And it's just been a wonderful program, and the help that they provide our community is just unbelievable.
That's very good. Very good. And if people do want to start volunteering with the Sheriff's Office, is it Jan Shepard that they get in contact with? Is the information on the website?
I think there's applications. There's most people seem to show up for hard copy applications at our front desk, but I believe you can access that on our website or make us known to that.
Very good. Tomorrow, Casey, Election Day. We're not going to talk about politics, but do you notice any kind of? Are you going to have more troopers on the road tomorrow night? I don't know if people are expecting to. I don't know what to expect tomorrow night. Do you have any expectations?
I don't know. I think it's pure relief.
I think relief is definitely.
I don't know what the word would be. I'm.
Do they have emphasis patrols on election nights?
I don't think I've never heard of anything with that. I don't know tomorrow night if in the auditor's office. I heard Auditor Herr on here this morning. Yeah. I feel so bad for those people over there. I mean, it's so busy, and I think a lot of times, and I don't know this. I'm not in Karen's spot, but oftentimes people, when you're in a position, ask you questions about things that during that time you're not allowed to answer them. And I would imagine that Karen gets pestered constantly this time of year about what's going on with that, and that's why they make that process open. I'm just glad that all those ads are going to quit coming in my mailbox and be off the TV.
I couldn't believe, Jerry brings in some of the ads from some of the flyers here in the county, and the stacks on a daily basis.
I always wonder what that costs. I mean, I'm an elected official, run for office, but not spent like some of these people spend. It's incredible. I think it's pure relief, is what I think.
Probably well.
Better, shorter commercials on TV.
Deep breath tomorrow.
And I see you're ready for tonight's game.
Yeah, I'm ready. Heck
That's
yeah.
what we should be talking about. That's
right,
important
sure.
stuff
It's gonna
there.
be a good game for sure. All right, and then I got you here. We got a minute or two. You got some time.
Go ahead.
So this month, November, is Salute to Service Month as well with the NFL. Does that help, you think, the service members when they see the outpouring of support, all the camouflage stuff, things like that?
Last week we were very fortunate to have Jim Dixon with us from the Patriot Guard Riders. Also,
great conversation.
Jim served in Vietnam, as a Marine in Vietnam. And there's another group of people whose talents are so valued. And in many agencies, including ours in law enforcement, it's somewhat of a natural transition to come from a military background to what we would call a paramilitary. Be careful with that organization. It just has a rank structure.
Yeah.
And I would tell you that in my previous office, many military people of military service come in as law enforcement officers and in the system. The reason we like to recruit that is the training piece is so easy. If you've been through basic training in any one of the services, to go to basic training in a law enforcement academy is quite easy for them, I would say, because they understand the process. Mm-hmm. They come in with some incredible backgrounds that training in the military that you can't get anywhere else. They've been all over the world, been around all kinds of different people, trained together with people from all over the world. They're very easy people to employ. And I would tell you that last week with Jim in here, I still have this belief that I don't think we support our veterans the way we should for the price that they've paid and are paying right now. Even the young military service people that are overseas and in the United States, the amount of time, energy, and effort that they put in for their country, it's just incredible. And we value that, as you know, in our office. Mm-hmm. And I just think the respect for that is outstanding.
Yeah, that was a great conversation we had with Jim last week.
It's thrilling to see. I see you have your Russell Wilson jersey on today, but it's thrilling to see last night in the NFL the recognition to our troops there on the sidelines. And how many of those, what interested me was the number of NFL athletes that were Army Rangers and served in the military. And they went back to probably one of my favorites, Roger Staubach. Uh-huh. You know, what a great guy to come in and serve and come back and then do what he did in the NFL as a great person. So there's a lot of people recognized on there last night. We had tremendous athletes that have served.
I think tonight Nate Boyer, the long snapper, or the former long snapper who was in the Special Forces for the Seahawks, going to raise the 12-man flag
fantastic.
Tonight.
I think that is absolutely a great recognition, and to have the NFL do that, I think is just fantastic for them.
Very cool. All right, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, thank you much for coming on today.
You.
We'll talk with you next week at this time.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.